up, everybody? We are back with Get Sticky Fantasy Breakdown recap. My man JG603. We got a lot to go over this week. We had a shit ton of injuries. Specifically, we are going to call this ACL week. So, getting into these, let's go with these injuries right now. So we lose Saquon's out. He's got a torn ACL, a partially torn meniscus, and a severely sprained MCL, which doesn't need surgery. So he's good on that part. But the other two things are going to get. I think they said in a week or two he'll have surgery. They're letting the swelling go down. That is a huge blow to the Giants. I mean, they did. I think they brought in Freeman. I think they made that official and signed him. And we have. Oh, GG. No, he's not. Forgetting about that. So you go into the 49ers. This defense was stout to be huge and whatnot. And then you lose Bosa ACL and you lose Solomon to an ACL. Both tore their ACLs out for the season. How do you replace it?
You can't, man. You can't. Those are two dynamic pass rushers. And the thing with the Niners is they're built on two things: the run game and the defense. Well, you just lost Telvin Coleman. You just lost Mostert. Jimmy Garoppolo's out for a little bit too. You lost your best pass rushers. This is falling apart if you're a Niners fan. This is tough, man. Especially with the way that division is stepping it up this year. I mean, I wouldn't at all hesitate to think that they could possibly be the third or fourth team in this division this year. That's tough, man.
Jimmy has a high ankle sprain, so he has the worst one.
That's tough to play through.
They're the worst ones to have. Then you talked about the Seahawks. They lose Irvin. Irvin goes down to an ACL.
That's a big blow. Bruce Irvin's a fantastic pass rusher. I think that a defense that has so much talent to lose one of your main guys, that really hurts, man. That really hurts.
And then you have, I mean, they literally could have had. They could have had at least had it covered with, I can't think of the guy's name now. It was
Clowney there.
Yeah, Clowney, but they let Clowney go, and then who else? We lost a ton of people to their ACLs. And I've talked about this a bunch when it comes into it. I say that they should have had preseason.
Absolutely. I mean, now it's clearer more than ever. I
really don't think they should have not had it. I really think they should have gave at least 2 games, let these guys get up to speed, and at least a little taste of game speed.
Because now they're losing some major stars in this league. I mean, you lost some of the biggest stars to these injuries early here.
But you also lost Von Miller's gone for the year.
Yep. He went down. I mean, the Broncos. Talk about the Broncos injuries, man. You lost Cortland Sutton to an ACL. Drew Lock's going to be out for a few weeks here. It's just it sucks to see guys go down. So many talented players, so many guys that you expect to really carry your team, and it sucks to see this happen, man. It really does. It's just a really ugly situation.
Now,
I don't think it's going to start. I don't know if it's going to be worse next week. I don't know if it's going to be as bad for sure, but I certainly think that you can't expect these guys to not keep going down. I mean, these guys aren't ready for this. They just aren't ready.
Yeah, man, and that's what it comes down to, and that's what I said from the beginning. I said it was going to be bad as it went. It's terrible.
Yeah, it's tough, man. I mean, so many legit guys. I mean, even like the little some guys are gonna like break out. Like a Paris Campbell went down with the knee injury. That's a
Yeah, he
guy
was a
who
big one. You were high
I
on
was really
him.
looking forward to seeing. Yeah, I mean, he had a good day coming in too, but I mean, that's just tough because that offense. I mean, this does open up for Michael Pittman to maybe get a little bit of work in there. I think Pittman looked really good on Sunday. That's nice, but I mean, you just so many injuries, man. It just sucks when you have all these young guys, a lot of high upside talent go down. I really hate seeing the young guys go down.
Yeah, I mean, I guess we're gonna get to see what some of these other young guys can do. I mean, this is
Yeah.
where you get to see if you got a stud sitting somewhere.
Yep.
Um, if you get one of them diamonds in the rough, pop out,
Yeah,
and this is
exactly.
where it happens. I mean, where you get lucky and find. I mean, this is where your guy was born. The big injury went down
Exactly.
on Bledsoe,
Exactly.
and then you get
Yep.
a Tom Brady.
The rest is history, man. That's kind of the silver lining on these things. Most these guys are young enough that they're going to come back. They're going to be playing a couple more seasons. So you get to see some young guys maybe that didn't have on their radar. They're going to step up. They're going to play well. We're going to see what we get out of them in the future here.
And then we get into some of these games. Some of these games were like crazy. Um, Tom Brady showed up down in Tampa Bay. It looked like a different game than his first game. So
Oh yeah, Brady looked like Brady. Now, mind you, of course, people are like, oh, well, it's the Panthers. Well, it don't matter if it's the Panthers or not. He looked good
you still got to
regardless.
throw the ball.
Yeah.
Like
These are still, 50 of the best players on the field in the world. Like these are Panthers are I don't have the best defense, but they ain't no slouch either. I mean, they got some pass rush down there. I mean, to be able to look as well as he did, really comfortable in the offense, dealing the ball around. I mean, they didn't have Godwin either. So not having Godwin, you saw Justin Watson looked pretty decent. Scotty Miller, as we thought, looked really good. Gronk got slightly involved. Not really, though. I'm kind of bummed about that.
hey, he's
Yeah,
on
I
my
mean, the
bench.
Bucs
I was
look
glad I put
fantastic.
him there.
Yeah, right. Do you end up starting Hawkinson or Reed? Because I mean, Reed,
It's,
talk about a guy who popped off because of
I
injury.
was a little salty that I didn't start Reed,
Yeah. Luckily, you got the win anyway. It's all that matters,
but
right? But I think Jordan Reed's looking good in that offense, man. I love to see
if but
guys
see
like
the thing
that
is
struggle
with
for so
Jordan
long.
Reed. Jordan Reed's was one of those guys. If he stays healthy, he's going to dominate. Like he is going to
Yeah,
dominate. It's just
he
the
was a
fact of
freak in
staying.
his early years.
Right, he's still a freak. Like he just can't
Yeah,
stay healthy. Like he has plenty left in the tank. He's not been on the field a while here and now. So you know what I mean. Like
yeah,
I think it
yeah,
was like 16 games in 2 years, something like that, or 3 years, something like that. So
yeah.
not.
Brutal, man. And it's all head stuff too. That's what freaks me out about that is the
Yeah.
head stuff, man. That's terrifying.
But what do we think about this New Orleans defense, man? Like we were talking a little bit about this before the show, but
Mhm.
this is a little weird to me. I expected this defense to be a little bit more stout than what they've been.
Yeah, I think it's interesting because some people are putting this on the Raiders. Like, oh, the Raiders look great. The Raiders look great. I don't know, man. I don't know if this is on the Raiders. I think this could be on the Saints. I don't know if this is a Sean Payton thing. I'm not overly familiar with their defensive coordinator, but that defense just couldn't figure it out. How do you let Waller have 12 catches? How do you let that happen?
Yeah, I
You
mean,
gotta key in on that guy. Double team him, triple team him, do something to slow him down. Like coming in that that's the go-to target for Derek Carr, and you do nothing about it. Like
yeah,
it's
man. I
tough.
mean, Jacobs looked good too, man. Jacobs was running the
Jacobs
ball
looked
well,
fantastic. Yeah.
and then we see the struggle with Tennessee that on both of those defense, Tennessee and Jacksonville give up 63 points between the two of them.
That was an ugly game. That's an ugly game right
That's
there. I mean,
going that is just I didn't realize Tennessee's defense is so jacked up like that, but I expect that with Jacksonville with so many pieces being
I'm
going.
shocked by the Tennessee defense right now. I get Minshew. I think he's a good enough player, but I think that Vrabel being a defensive coach letting that happen. I mean, especially when you add a guy like Clowney, and it's just I don't know what happened to that team, man. They looked so good last year, and they don't seem to have it hitting on all cylinders right now. Like that offense has looked relatively good too, which is the crazy thing.
I
You'd think
mean,
that Tannehill would be a problem and a liability, but the defense being a liability, that's surprising to me.
I
After
mean,
what they did to Lamar Jackson in the playoffs too, like
it
that's
also
wild.
comes. I think it comes down to is like we've alliterated on it 100 times now. Is that people aren't ready. Like they're not ready
100%.
for the speed, and
Yeah,
like I said, I think maybe week 5 you'll start seeing it a little bit different. People will be a little bit more prepared, a little bit more ready
absolutely.
for it. And then we get into this one's kind of shocking. I didn't think this one was close. It was Pittsburgh and Denver. That was a 26-21 game.
Ooh.
But
With Jeff Driscoll back there
yeah, I mean,
without Courtland Sutton, that's
and like I said,
another surprising
no
one.
Drew Lock. Drew Lock got hurt. You're without
Yep.
your best linebacker, Von Miller.
Mhm.
Then we all expected this to happen with Philly and the Rams. The Rams go in there and they give them 37-19
Right?
beatdown. That
Just
was,
an absolute beatdown, man. Eagles, like, what? We're gonna say this a lot. What happened? What happened, man? Is this just a preseason thing, like we're saying? Because this is technically preseason here. We're technically in 4-week preseason here, but it's just tough, man. It's tough watching these teams. You thought you'd see something out of them, and I'm sure you don't mind it, of course, in the division there. But
no, I'm still first place.
ugly.
I'm good.
Right? And speaking of the division, how about them Cowboys? Or should I say, how about Dan Quinn and
Or
Falcons?
how we
That
say,
was
how do we blow like what was it, a 30-point lead? Was it at one point in time or something? Like that?
yeah.
It
That
was something
that's
stupid
wild.
high, and they
Yeah.
lost by 1 point.
And the incredible thing is they didn't turn the ball over. How do you lose that kind of lead without a turnover? Like that is unbelievable, man. I mean, I think this is, if you're a Falcons fan, I'm looking for Dan Quinn's head.
Yeah, I mean,
Plain and simple.
I mean, Tony makes a good point. They're known to choke. So I mean,
Oh, as a Pats fan, we are well aware of that one.
and then San Francisco, even with everybody hurt, they still beat the Jets in. So this just shows you how bad this Jets team is.
Yeah. The Jets. If this was like the English Premier League, the Jets would probably have been relegated by now. They
I
would
mean,
they would have been sent down a rank
I
here.
think it's time to send them to the Canadian League.
Yeah. Gase has got to go. I don't know if Darnold's the guy anymore.
It's so bad. Like I mean, like they lost. Like we said, San Francisco lost 2 starting running backs. They lost their starting quarterback, 2 of their starting big defensive players. Like, and you can't win.
That's sad, man. At home too. I mean, no fans, mind you, but that's tough. Hey, if you're the Jets, though, no one got injured.
You're back. I mean, that's
you gotta
positive.
take the wins when you can. When half the Niners got injured Sunday, you don't have any injuries. Good for you guys. Good for you. A little gold star for the poster there.
This one actually shocked me a little bit too. Is the Buffalo Miami game being as close as it was?
That might be the biggest shocker of the week to me. I thought that this would be very straightforward. I thought Buffalo was just going to roll right through them. I love the Buffalo defense, really like that offense, but how do you give up those points to the Dolphins, man? Like Gaskin looked good. Nice,
I mean,
bright spot there,
are the Dolphins clicking? I mean, maybe they're starting to groove with each other, and I mean, they have the talent to be good on paper.
Yeah, and I'm a big fan of Brian Flores as a coach. I think he really knows what he's doing there. So interested to see where that thing goes. Of course, they have the Thursday night game. We'll break that down a little bit later with the Jaguars. So that's a really interesting game with the Finns and Jaguars. I have no clue what to expect, especially when you consider it's a Thursday night game. Those are typically pretty ugly. So we'll see what happens. Because when you think of Thursday night football, Finns Jags is exactly what I think of. Browns Bengals. Like these are the games we expect to see on Thursdays.
Sucks.
Pretty bad.
So we get into Indianapolis and Minnesota here. This is what we expected. We called this on Sunday that Indianapolis would go in here and beat Minnesota's heads off. Minnesota just doesn't have what it needs. I mean, score 8 points in the fourth, three in the first 3 quarters.
That's
gonna get it done.
No, I mean, I think you look at the Vikings and they lost so many pieces. I mean, not just to mention they lost Anthony Barr Sunday due to a pec injury. I believe he's out for the season. But I mean, you get rid of Linval Joseph, you get rid of Daniil Hunter. I think they got rid of one other big guy too.
It's also a case of Kirk Cousins being Kirk Cousins. 113 yards, 11 for 26, 3 interceptions.
Yep.
And then
hey, Kirk's gonna Kirk. You like that? No, I really don't.
The guy, I don't understand why they don't feed Dalvin more. Dalvin has only 14 touches, 63 yards. He was averaging almost 5 yards a carry.
That's unforgivable. Unforgivable to not give that man at least 20 carries. I don't care how much you're down. Just give the guy the ball. He is dynamic. He's electric. I think he's easily top 10 running back in the league when you actually use him. It's like the Titans in the playoffs against the Chiefs. Just feed Derrick Henry, and you guys at least have a shot. But nope.
And
man, coaches just get too dumb sometimes.
The guy we called him out, and we said he's going to get hot, and that was Jonathan Taylor. 26 touches, 101 yards, 1 touchdown. That's big things.
And the big thing too is Naheem Hines was barely used. I
Yeah,
think
bro,
that's
they
the big
used
thing
Jordan
too.
Watkins, and I'm not sure who Jordan Watkins is. He
Oh,
was
oh, yeah, yeah. He was I think he was a rookie last year because I remember when Mac went down last year, the year before, they used Wilkins a lot. So
yeah,
I'm interested to see
he was
where they
nine.
go.
He had 9 touches, 40 yards with a 4.4
Yeah,
average. Not bad.
yeah. But I mean, looking
Campbell
at
had 1 touch for 7 yards, and that was the end of his day.
because like Hines was out there week one getting, I think he had like 2 touchdowns, close to 100 yards. Like he had a big fantasy day. So to take a guy who was working and to completely phase him out, that's showing that the coaching staff really trusts Taylor. And I think if you don't have Jonathan Taylor, you got to try to get Jonathan Taylor. I think he's going to have a good matchup down the schedule. You look at that division, not the strongest division. So I think if you're looking for someone to trade for right now, I try to get my hands on Taylor here.
Yeah, and definitely Mo Ali Cox. He might be somebody to go after.
It's funny because we briefly mentioned that when we talked about Jack Doyle not playing, and I was like, who's their backup? And I'm like, oh, this Mo Ali Cox guy, they might use him. Well, they used him.
5 receptions, 111 yards, guys. He may be the guy.
Player. That's kind of
he's a big guy. He's about, I think he's 6'5", 267 pounds.
That's a big boy right there. That's a big boy. Man's gonna get the job done. You have fun boxing out that guy when you're a 5'10" corner.
And then we called this one. We said Green Bay was going to take this at home versus Detroit. Their defense too much for Detroit to handle. Going into some of the stats here, I mean, you had Matthew Stafford. He didn't do terrible. He's 244, 20 for 33, 2 touchdowns, 1 interception. AP did decent. Kerryon Johnson with 8 touches for 32, 1 touchdown. AP had 7 for 41. But DeAndre Swift, this is a guy, I don't know if that catch messed him up, that he's not really.
Yeah,
that's
a mental
out,
right
man.
there.
He might be falling out of this little touch here. He had 5 touches for 12 yards and 2.4 carries.
That's surprising because I mean I definitely think Matt Patricia is a guy who that's going to
definitely. They seem to use him more in receiving. I'm looking at stats here now, and they had 5 catches for 60 yards. So it looks like he's gonna be that guy that they're going to throw to.
Yeah, that's a tough offense to predict right now, especially without Galladay. I think Galladay coming back is going to open things up a little bit, but I mean, it's just a mess because like a lot of these guys I don't really view as like number ones.
Yeah, DeAndre and TJ were the top 2 guys for catches, and TJ only won by 2 yards.
Yeah, Hawkinson's a guy that I think if they keep using him, he's going to be really effective. But look at the way they targeted him last year. It was never consistent. And I don't know if that's a coaching thing, if that's a Stafford thing, because I don't think Stafford's ever really been a big tight end guy. I can't really think of going through the Lions historically. I can think of some wide receivers that have popped for them, but I can't really think of any tight ends over in Detroit. So I don't know if that's just an offense thing or. Yeah.
This is wild. I'm looking at the stats here from the Cowboys Falcons game. Matt Ryan was 24 for 36, 273 yards and 4 touchdowns.
Nutty, man. Nutty.
No interceptions.
And Gurley didn't do much, right? Like they were
Gurley ran. I mean, it's not a good average, but he ran 21 times for 61 yards, a 2.9 average, which isn't getting it done. But the guy, we've been talking about this guy, Calvin Ridley, seems to be the guy down there right now. 7 touches. 109 yards, 2 touchdowns, and then our guy that we wanted last week shows up this week when we call him a sit, and he goes 5 catches, 72 yards, and a touchdown. This is what we expect from this guy. This is what we think is going to happen.
But here's the slight disclaimer on Hayden Hurst that day. I believe he had 1 catch for like 60 yards. So, and it was a broken coverage. So if we take that out, I'm interested to see what it looks like, but man, I think that Atlanta offense, if I'm looking to trade for a guy, I'm looking for shares in that offense. It looked fantastic. And
this is kind of mind-blowing.
Yeah, if I'm the Falcons, I look to get Gage the ball more. I look to get Ridley the ball more, and I would almost consider seeing what you get for Julio. Julio's what, 31, 32 these days?
I mean, but the thing is in the game, Julio only had 2 receptions for 24 yards.
And what were the targets like? Because I feel like they looked at him a lot, and he just wasn't hitting. 4. Yeah. So I mean, I think
Ridley got target. Ridley's got fed. He had 10 targets. Gage had 9 targets, and Hurst had 8 targets.
Wow. That's an interesting set of numbers there. I mean, you look at an offense that can legitimately carry 3 wide receivers. Like if you're putting together a lineup, you could probably have 3 guys in there that are from the Falcons. You could probably get away with it the way they're slinging the rock right now,
Yeah,
and
I mean, it's
especially with
definitely
how
being
that
spread.
defense is. That defense is so bad right now that I think this offense is going to continue to light it up. We could see some really, really good numbers from these guys this year.
I don't even know. That one's pretty bad. How about this one though? Let's so we get to the Giants. The Giants, that one was actually close. We didn't think this was going to be as close as it was, but
I was surprised.
the
Very
Chicago
surprised.
Bears and Giants. I mean, Saquon stays up. They also lost Sterling Shepard too. I don't know if how
Oh,
far.
they did?
Yeah, Sterling Shepard is out for the
Oh
Giants.
no, that's not good for them, man. That's their top guy right
Yeah,
now.
I don't know what his injury was though, but I know he is out. He was out of the game.
Oh, yeah, expected to miss several weeks with turf toe. Ooh, turf toe is a tough one, man. That's not something you come right back from.
No,
right
it's not. I had that in my life and it sucks.
there. Ooh.
So, guys, if
Yeah.
you guys don't know exactly what turf toe is, there's a spot between toe here, big toe to here, and there's a sack in there, and it's basically what cushions your foot as it moves. And when you plant on it, it's what kind of softens your blow to your step. And what happens is it's a hyperextension of your toe, and so now that bag and that thing is your ligament and stuff is not running right, and every time you press on it, it pops it, and it hurts.
Ooh,
So
yeah.
you'll see a lot of guys they'll start planting weird with their other foot, or they'll plant
Yeah.
outside, and they
And
still.
that could lead to other injuries too, because you're trying to.
It's such a horrible injury. I had it for a while. It's
That
so
sounds
hard.
miserable,
It is.
I mean, if
'cause-
you're the Giants, you're just like, just get us to next season at this point. You
It-
already lost Saquon, Shepard's down. I don't like their defense. Their offense is missing so many pieces. I mean, like your number one wide receiver is about to be Darius Slayton, who had a good week 1, mind you, but his week 2, he was pretty much non-existent there. So
And then we get to the Washington Arizona game. This game went the way I said. If they did not keep Kyler in check,
Mhm.
the Redskins lose this game. No matter
Well,
how good their defense plays, because their defense, I don't think the defense played bad in this game. It's just they could not keep Kyler locked up.
yeah,
He's too dynamic. If he gets out and starts running, I mean, when you look at let's look at the stats here. So Kyler threw for 286. So he threw for a lot. He threw a pick, threw 1 touchdown. He threw 38 times though. Jesus.
yeah, that's
But
not
Murray,
a great
but
number.
this is what I was talking about here is where Murray touches the ball 8 times, runs for 67 yards and 2 touchdowns with the 8.4 average.
That's a problem. That's
Yeah.
a problem.
And Drake goes off.
Contain spy, go get him. Yeah, I was interested to see how Drake would do because I wasn't thinking
Well,
Drake would have the best
he
day,
did
but-
pretty well. They fed him pretty good too. I mean, they had a pretty good balance, and like I said, they had all 3 pieces working. You have all 3 of them working like that. That's tough. It's tough to defend, and you have the running game working. You have your quarterback scrambling. You got your quarterback throwing the rock. Drake went off for 20 catches, 86 yards with a 4.3 carry. So-
Defense looks pretty good too for the Cards. I think if you're a Cardinals fan, you were real excited.
But like we said, D Hopkins is the guy. He is
Yeah.
being fed. He had 9 targets, highest target rate on the team, 8 catches, 68 yards and a touchdown. The next was Andy Isabella. He had 2 catches for 67 yards, but that was one of those was huge. It was like 50-some yards.
Yeah, he had one
Um,
big bomb there. Guy's
Christian-
fast.
Christian Kirk had 2 for 57, and then the next highest targets was Larry Fitzgerald. Go figure.
Old man Fitz, man.
But he caught
Love that he's
all
doing well.
7 of his targets.
But I gotta say though, man, I hope the Cardinals do well because I would love to see Fitz, have some actual meaningful games here. I mean, he had a couple back in the day, but it's been a while since he's seen some real football. Like in
I think the last time they seen anything was against Pittsburgh.
Yeah, right. And Carlson Palmer out there. Like, oh man.
And Dwayne Haskins, I mean, this is just I think what's going on with him, like he's not throwing bad. He was 19 for 33 for 223 and a touchdown, no interception, so he's still clean there.
Those are pretty solid numbers for
But
sure. I mean, Gibson had a pretty good day too.
I
Huh?
think the issue going on with Dwayne right now is that he's not comfortable. He doesn't trust his line enough, and rightfully so. I mean, the line in Washington is the biggest issue. They have a great young defense. And that defensive line is just going to be better and better as it goes and grows together.
Yeah.
But they got to get someone.
Then he lost Scherf too. Like that's a big blow.
Yeah,
on
just
him.
losing. I mean, it's going to be rookies, man. It's going to be a bunch of rookies across the line, and it's going to be a scary thing, man. This is
man.
almost one of those things. Is do you put your backup in to protect Haskins?
right.
Like,
I mean, I think if you hit, week 10, 11, and you guys are out of the race, I would consider it because, man,
uh,
you know very well that if you get a rookie quarterback, a young quarterback, they get injured, that can mess with their mental so bad. You're worried about, a knee, etc. You
I'm
don't want to
petrified for this
scramble.
guy, and you could tell he's not comfortable, man. Just the way
Yeah.
he's throwing the ball, he's not comfortable. He doesn't trust the line. You can see it. Gibson didn't do too bad. He was all right. He did 13 for 55 yards and a touchdown. But Jade, it was opposite of what we thought was going to happen this week. They actually JD came out this week. Kinsley, he came out this week and went 8 for 53 for a 6.6.
No kidding. No kidding.
So that was kind of interesting in its own thing. Wasn't expecting him to see that. And Peyton
Yeah,
Barber
yeah.
this blows my mind. They only give him one touch.
I was baffled because I was talking about I had a lineup that I had built up that had Peyton Barber in there, and had Malcolm Brown, and I checked the score and I was like, did what now? It was that bad? Like, man,
Yeah,
what happened? Barber got like no touches. We saw Malcolm Brown go down with a finger injury, which led to Daryl Henderson popping off, which if you guys are looking at a waiver wire, we'll get into that later, but that's a guy you got to keep an eye on, man. It's just a weird Sunday because even without some injuries, just some weird decisions were made in terms of
it was
usage.
kind of the same way like over on there because Logan, I mean, he got 4 catches, but nothing real big. He had 9
Yeah.
targets though, so I don't know if he missed them or not. Like I couldn't watch the
That's a
game.
good number though. Nine targets. You like to see that out of a tight end for
Yeah,
sure.
if he's catching them,
Yeah,
putting the yards up.
That's true too. 'Cause, I
And
mean,
then
with that matchup, chances are he probably had some tough matchups.
the guy we said is just going to be a stud. I don't think he gets stopped. I think he's going to be a high guy in the offense, no matter where he plays. He's just got that factor. Terry McLaurin, 7 catches, 125 yards, and a tutty.
Scary Terry, baby, out in full effect, and that's a good secondary in the Cardinals too. So if you can get open against that secondary, I feel pretty good about that. I mean, you got some studs back there.
I think he's just so fast. I think that's what gets to him.
Speed kills. That's a fact, man. You can't beat two things in football, and that's youth and speed. It's tough to get around that. It's absolutely.
Now, getting into Kansas City, what do you think about the Kansas City game? I mean, like, you're here. We talked about the defense. The defense, it was 23-20 in overtime.
That's a really surprising thing. I think that a little bit of it was, of course, if you're the Chiefs defense, you're preparing for Tyrod Taylor. That's not a lot of passing. That's a lot of runs. It's a lot of checkdowns. And now all of a sudden, Tyrod's suddenly out with a chest injury, and now you got Justin Herbert in there. I think Herbert looked really good for a rookie in his first game, especially on short notice. He didn't have time to get reps in necessarily with the ones. I think he looked great. But I think that if you're Anthony Lynn, you got to just stick with Herbert because I hear that they're saying, "Oh, Tyrod might play for us week 3 if he's ready." Just don't do it. Just let the rookie quarterback play. I think if you have a good team around a rookie quarterback, you got to just let him run. And I think if you're the Chiefs, you got to be a little bit worried. Now the Chiefs and the Chargers always play really close against each other. But to give up some of the plays they did, and for Mahomes to not look as great as he normally would, I think that's going to throw up some red flags here.
Yeah, I mean, he was.
You lose Watkins too. Watkins go down. Well, I love Mecole Hardman and Demarcus Robinson. I think not having Watkins, that's a big veteran in the locker room right there. Great player on the offense.
Like we called during Sunday, Tyreek Hill only had 1 catch.
Yeah.
Well, no, that was, I think, what was that, 1 catch? No, never. I lied. It was 1 rush. So he had. We said it was going to go either way with him, and Tyreek has 5 catches, 99 yards, 1 touchdown. Travis has not.
Numbers,
This is crazy. Like, these two got targeted so much. You have Travis going for 9 catches, 90 yards, touchdown, 14 targets. Between the two of them guys, between just those 2 receivers, he targeted them 25 times.
Wow. I didn't catch the whole game, so hearing that's surprising.
And then Clyde Edwards, the running back, got targeted 8 times. So
how many carries for him too? 8 targets, huh? Wow.
He had 10 carries for 38 yards.
See, I think they could have used him a little bit more. I think he looked really, really good.
But Miko got two receptions. Robinson only had 3. And I mean, that was it, man. I mean, it didn't go too much farther than those guys.
Yeah, to be in that kind of a close game with a team that I think a lot of people are going to count out going in, I don't think that's a great sign for the future. I'm interested to see, though, really big game coming up on Monday. They're going to be playing the Ravens, possible AFC title game preview. I think that's another team where it's like, what are the Ravens doing right now? Lamar wasn't great on Sunday. So that's going to be a really fun game to check out on Monday Night Football. I think that's a must-see game right there.
Then you get into Justin Herbert. He went off 22 for 33, 311 yards, a touchdown, and his first interception. So his first interception's out of the way, and he got his first touchdown. No, he just
That's phenomenal. And then and our guy Lycan here saying that Lynn already said Tyrod is still the starter. I don't agree with that at all, man. I think
not if he comes in and puts up those numbers against the Chiefs. How do you sit him? How do you sit that?
Because so I get it initially. You don't start the rookies because you want them to get into the playbook. You want to ease them in. But once you start one game, I think to go back to Tyrod, I don't think that's the best look for your team. I think that's sending a message of we don't trust Herbert, and I don't think that's good for a guy in his second game and first career start. I think that's
I mean, he looked phenomenal. Like that's a hot
like
hand. You gotta go.
Like
you gotta give him.
If he was struggling, I'd be like, yeah, sit him on the bench. But man, that offense was humming. Eckler looked good. This Joshua Kelly kid. Speaking of waiver wire,
you gotta give him. You gotta give. I think you gotta give Justin the shot. You gotta give him. He bombs it next week, then yeah, maybe you go back to him and then let him develop a little bit more. But you can't sit him.
And the thing with Tyrod too is he's a very serviceable quarterback. I saw this number where I think he's thrown the least interceptions as a starter since I think it was like 2017, whenever he was with the Bills. And this is a guy that he's a very safe hand. But I don't think when Tyrod's as old as he is, when you have a guy who you think is the next guy, I think you just got to get him out there, man. You got to get these guys reps. There's nothing that's going to be in-game reps. That's just simple there. You need the experience.
So it looks like the Chargers are going with this nice big. I mean, they got some serious distribution going on in the backfield. 16 carries for Eckler for 93 yards, and then they gave the ball to Joshua Kelly 23 times for 64 yards.
I love this Joshua Kelly kid. I picked him up last week off waivers, a guy that I'm definitely targeting this week if he's still available in any of your leagues. This guy looked good. He got the red zone touches, checking those boxes, everything you want to see out of a running back, we saw. I think that while Eckler is still absolutely your lead back, your receiving back, I think that when we get to the red zone, we're going to see a lot of Joshua Kelly. And I don't think that if it is Tyrod, I don't see Tyrod throwing the ball a ton in the red zone. And I think we're going to see even more Josh Kelly next week.
I mean, he also spread this ball out pretty well. Like you're saying, how do you not play him? Guy gives 7 receptions to Keenan Allen for 96 yards. Hunter Henry comes up with 6 catches, 83 yards. Austin Eckler 4 for 55. Joshua Kelly 2 for 49. Like, dude's spreading the ball. He's not got a favorite target. I mean,
he showed poise. He showed confidence, man. Was decisive in his decisions, man. Literally everything you could ask for from a quarterback, you got. And you're gonna bench him for a journeyman, more or less, with Tyrod. I don't get it, man.
And then we get into Baltimore.
Think Anthony Lynn's a good coach, but
we get into Baltimore and Houston. Yep. We knew this was coming. Houston destroyed their team. Baltimore is hot, man. Baltimore is gonna be smoking. They're gonna be a team. I'm not gonna really get into that too much. This is what we expected, is what we called. This one is one of those ones that we kind of bounced around, and you actually called this, I believe. I think you called Seattle beating New England.
So here's the thing with that game. I thought that the Seahawks were going to win. If you told me it was going to come down to 3 seconds left at the goal line, I would have called bullshit. I am impressed by this team. I'm surprised by this team, offensively and defensively. While the defense didn't do great, you're playing Russell Wilson, generation talent, DK Metcalf, guys that are unreal. I think that what I saw out of this Patriots team on Sunday, coming into the season, I was very firm. I was like, Bills are taking the division. After what I saw Sunday, Bills against Dolphins, Pats against Seahawks, I think the Pats are taking the division. I gotta say it, man. I think they're taking this division. The interesting game is they got a 1:00 game against the Raiders. After what the Raiders did to the Saints, really interesting to see that matchup. But man, Cam Newton looked amazing. Julian Edelman, career high, 179 yards receiving. That is just unbelievable stuff, man. Cam Newton.
Now, on that last call, like when it was down last call, down to 3, you can't agree with that call. You can't agree with that call. I mean, they ate them alive all game. That, to me, they had to expect it to come. They had, Seattle had to know that play was coming.
That's my problem. You come out with no wide receivers. no wide receivers. And you're clearly going to run the ball. And Seahawks, like, they got no wide receivers. They're clearly going to run the ball. And they did it. So what I would have liked to see is at least throw like a N'Keal Harry, a big body guy out there. Have some kind of play fake. Make them think for a second that you're not just running QB blast like it's weekend league. I hate that play call so much. I get it. Cam, dynamic, tough to stop. But the irony of running the ball at the 2-yard line instead of passing it and costing us the game against the Seahawks, that is just... Oh man, that's tough. That's a tough way to go down. But I'm excited about this team. I think that
Well, I mean, now they know how the Seahawks felt.
Exactly. Maybe you should throw a slant next time to Edelman. Maybe,
bro.
maybe
like when I seen that lineup, I was like, "Where's the slant? Like, why aren't we motioning like a tight end or something out there? There's tight ends on the line. Like, put some like, because even the announcers were like, "Oh, they ran this place. They're gonna go back to this play." Like the announcers knew it. If the announcers knew it,
that's
you don't
the
think
thing.
Seahawks know it?
Knew it. The ball boy knew it. Me watching at home knew it. The Seahawks definitely knew it. It was the QB blast. Like, it's one thing when you have a tight end like a Gronk out there that there's some threat. But when you got guys like Ryan Izzo and like Jacob Johnson, like what are you thinking, McDaniels and company? I don't know if it was solely him. I don't know if Bill was like, hey, put it in his hands. But man, that's a disappointing end, man. I like to when it's the last second play, I hate to see a run because I think that while running the ball is usually effective, I think that it's very hit or miss. I think that typically the pass is a little bit more high percentage, usually though.
I mean, the way they were lined up, you could have easily like at least like took the line. You could have had a little flat. You know what I mean? Just across the front.
Something to confuse them. Anything, not just line up and run. Oh, so stupid. Oh man,
I felt for you as it happened. I was like, JG is on fire right now. Jay-Z is pissed.
Fantastic drive. They looked great all night, and it comes down to I pretty believe he got stuffed in the backfield too. Like he didn't even.
No, because the guy that was blocking for him got blown up and got knocked back into him and flipped him.
Like, those Seahawks full on ran commit. Like I tell you what, they hit the LB right on the stick, and they are like, "We're getting you, buddy. Like you ain't getting nowhere." Oh man, it's tough. It's tough.
So get us into this waiver wire, man. How hot is it with all the
there
injuries?
Are a lot of really good players out there. I mean, if you think directly off the injuries, if you're looking for a running back, of course Saquon went down. The Giants just picked up Devontae Freeman. Originally, I would have said Wayne Gallman or Dion Lewis, which is weird that in 2020 I'm talking about Dion Lewis again. But I think you've got to go pick up Devontae Freeman. I think that's a really good call. You look at the Niners, and I think Jerick McKinnon looked really solid. I think he was going to take the job even if Coleman was healthy. So now that Coleman's gone, Raheem Mostert's gone, I think Jerick McKinnon's going to take the ball. Jeff Wilson had some decent games last year as well. We talked about the Rams. I think Darrell Henderson is looking fantastic. Akers with a rib injury. You got a finger injury from Malcolm Brown. I think Darrell Henderson locked in for that starting job. And for a little quarterback action, Gardner Minshew. How about Minshew Mania? Is it running wild again? It just might. It just might, man. And I mean, another one here. They lost in McCaffrey. You got to go Mike Davis. I don't love Mike Davis typically, but I think when you got a starting running back that you can just pick up off the waiver wire for week 3, week 4, I think that's a great call. I mean, if Russell Gage is still there, get him. But I think a lot of guys have picked him up by now. 2 back-to-back fantastic performances from Russell Gage in a high-flying offense. Love what I'm seeing out of them, man.
They actually used him too. They actually just used Gage in the run game a little bit too.
Yeah, I saw that. And did you see he actually almost threw a touchdown? But
yeah, he almost threw a touchdown too. I forgot they used him. That's
like an extra like 6 to 10 points right there.
Yeah, I mean, he's running the ball, he's catching the ball, he's throwing the ball. Like this, it could be some serious potential.
Like out of
fantasy
all these
football
guys,
for him.
I think you've got to get Oldham because I think with the Jerick McKinnon thing, you're a little bit worried about the quarterback. I don't love Nick Mullins. With Darrell Henderson, there's always the chance that they go to someone else. Minshew, it's Minshew. But I think when you look at some of these guys, Russell Gage is a fantastic talent. And another one, for some reason, Jonnu Smith. I'm seeing Jonnu Smith open in a lot of leagues. I don't know why, mind you. He had 2 fantastic weeks. But, I mean, if you guys don't follow the waiver wire, I think it's a very important thing to be looking at. When you look at guys' injuries, potential replacements, I mean, like Dalton Schultz, he had a great day for the Cowboys after Blake Jarwin went down with the injury. Of course, that part of that was Dak was just on fire. But, I mean, you've got to look at that kind of thing. And then One last one here is Chase Claypool from the Steelers. What's with the Steelers and wide receivers, man? I feel like every time I look up, they got another stud out there.
Yeah,
I mean, they got Deontay Johnson, they got James Washington, Juju. In the past, they've had Sanders, Brown. Now they got Chase Claypool.
and
man.
I
This
think
place just grows. Like, do they have a wide receiver tree out back? Like, this is out of control.
I'm serious, and that's one of the things that you look at the Steelers when you really get into that is I think that's why they run their ship the way they do. They're not worried about if you're a stud or not because they have the next stud waiting.
They're like, you can walk because we got the next guy. Oh, Le'Veon Bell. Well, we got James Conner right here. James Conner's going down. Well, Benny Snell's getting the job done. Wild, man.
Do you have anything now? Is there a tight end out there that you might be looking for that may have some heat to him that you're thinking of? We're gonna go back to Cox on him.
Jonnu Smith. I think that Colts offense. There are a couple guys you want to target. I think you got to look for Mo Alley Cox. Really big target there. I think Michael Pittman looks really good. And potentially Zach Pascal. I think that this offense, the defense, they're going to look at T.Y. Hilton. And Phillip Rivers is going to have to go different places. So I think having Pittman, Pascal, or as mentioned, Mo Alley Cox, I think that's a fantastic group right there. I think you have to be really happy with any of those guys. I mean, just the things you've seen from them so far this year, I think you've got to go after these guys. Absolutely. Another interesting one, Myles Gaskin of the Dolphins. I think that's a big-time sleeper in terms of no one probably knows who he is.
I had him.
He's a young running back, and he actually took the job from both Breida and Howard. So while I don't love that offense at all, I think that when you have a guy who's getting the touches is something big. Like the stats on him here, so he had 86 rush yards, and he's also got 10 catches for 62 yards. I mean, that's pretty good. And he's got Jacksonville on Thursday, as we mentioned. Now, while Thursday's often a complete crap show, I think those kind of numbers and being the leader in an offense that could be in a shootout, I think is money.
Let's get into Thursday night's game here.
Yeah, speaking of Thursday, Mike Gesicki. This dude went off on Sunday.
That's the tight end, right?
7 fantasy points. Yes, Mike Gesicki's the tight end.
He's the guy I want to pick up.
Must start. Like, I had him on the bench and I lost because of it. Like, this guy, he looks great. He's the main target for Ryan Fitzpatrick right now, which another conversation to have is why are we starting Ryan Fitzpatrick instead of Tua? I think Tua is being protected because of that hip injury, but another one where that's a surprising one. That's a really surprising one.
I also I agree 100% there. I'm pretty sure they're protecting him and they're making sure he's 100% before they put him out in the field. I mean, that's a bad injury, and they can't afford to have it happen again. So I think that's just one of those things.
And then they just lost Byron Jones too with I think he's out for 3 or 4 weeks with like an ankle. And I don't love the Dolphins team overall. Tough division. I think if you're the Dolphins, just sit it out. Kind of like the Giants. Just sit it out.
I actually think the Jags take that game. I think
so too. I think what we saw out of them Sunday, Minshew Mania is back. That team looked dynamic, man. DJ Shark getting back in action, which I love to see. And how about, speaking of real quick, another waiver wire guy, how about the running back for the Jaguars, man? He looked phenomenal, man. He got a lot of action, this Robinson kid.
Yeah, that was the guy. That's the guy I had called as a sleeper.
Yep.
Sunday.
Coming in too. Yeah, I actually ended up starting him in that Boomer League because I had nothing. I had nothing after half my team went down. So that's a really interesting.
Another one is going to be Jordan Reed if he's out there. Jordan Reed's probably going to be another guy that's going to be a good pickup at tight end, guys.
And even if Kittle comes back, I think Jordan Reed's still a good option.
I think Jordan Reed healthy. They put him in. He did work. He had 2 touchdowns. I don't remember how many catches he had, but he had 2 touchdowns. He had a couple catches and a little bit of yardage. Healthy Jordan Reed, you got to play him, and that's just they're gonna need it. They're gonna need both those tight ends once Kittle's back because now your 2 top running backs are down. They're gonna need whatever they can get, and that guy, and he's a guy to go get him. If he's still sitting there, guys, grab him. I think he's going to be a guy you can plug in.
And guys, don't be scared off because of Nick Mullins. Nick Mullins actually played pretty well last year. I could check out some stats on that.
I don't mind Nick Mullins.
I know he was viable fantasy option through the end of last year when they didn't have Jimmy Garoppolo. And you think, oh man, they lost defensive players. Well, guess what? That's just going to have to help the passing game. That means that they're going to be in closer games, more likely to be a blowout, which means you're going to see a lot of passing, which means guys like Kittle. We talk about Reed here. These guys are going to see an uptick. The wide receivers, though, I don't love right now. I would wait and see on that. I mean, they just added Mosa New. They got the youngster there, Brandon Ayuk. They got like Pettis, Taylor.
Bro, I don't even know their receivers. The thing is, I don't even know their receivers.
Like they have a lot of
I know
receivers
they got
that
some
you
new in
gotta have
that, but nothing that sticks out to me. I mean,
yeah.
but
Gotta
now,
check it.
so Thursday night's game. I
Yeah.
mean, I'm gonna say the Jags give the same little bit. They're gonna give out that same dose. They're gonna go back to Robinson. Robinson's
Yeah.
gonna be uh I think it's like 2 hours, bro. Honestly, something like that. We get it's like one pack every 2 hours or
Oh,
something.
they actually changed it. So for the Derwin versus the World, you only have to watch for an hour to get the token back, apparently, because there was issues claiming that token.
So my thing on that one is, I mean, you said now you have Minshew firing the ball around now, and you're sitting with a Byron Jones down top corner. So that leaves them with I believe Xavier Howard, right?
Yeah, I like Howard a lot, but outside of that, they don't have a lot in the secondary. Don't have a great pass rush right now. A lot of problems on that team, a lot of problems, and I think the Jaguars played really well the first 2 weeks. Their future is really bright, which is surprising because I mean they get rid of Yannick Ngakoue, they get rid of Leonard Fournette, and somehow they're still looking good. I mean, I think the division's a part of that. I think some of their matchups have been relatively easy, but I think that if Minshew keeps looking at the way he's looking, this is a guy that I'd be willing to start any week. But for fantasy, if you guys can avoid Thursday night football, I would really suggest it. Very, very rarely does this game go as planned, as expected. So when you're sitting here like, oh, this guy's must play, it's a Thursday night game. You really don't know. This is a short week, only 4 days of prep.
Yeah.
It could be an ugly one. It could be a very
They
ugly
usually are pretty ugly. I mean, they never are exciting. That's for sure.
The tough thing is it's almost scheduled to be ugly, which is baffling. You'd think that you'd want this to be a marquee game, but most people, it's like Thursday night football, and it's like, I'll catch you next time. I'm not watching.
We're just gonna go play, man.
The Lions and the Browns. I'm good on that. Like, we're moving on. Should be a good game, though. I think there are some guys who want to look at in that game. I think that Robinson's going to be a good option. I think that DJ Shark is always a guy that I'd really be interested in because he gets a lot of targets. Minshew as well. For the Dolphins, I think Gesicki must start. Even though it's a Thursday night game, I think you've got to start him after what we've seen the first 2 weeks. But outside of that, I think Gaskin would be really risky for a year-long league, maybe a daily format. And like the Devontae Parker, I like him, but it's just hit or miss, man. These Thursday night games, they're a crapshoot, man. They really are. I mean, you look at last week. I thought for sure it was going to be pretty straightforward. Browns weren't going to look great. Mixon was going to have a field day. Instead, the Browns looked great. Mixon was okay. Like it's you never know what you're getting from these games. You really don't, man.
Yeah, I mean it's gonna be tough. But let's hit on a little bit of this Madden team of the week here. Or this little mix in here.
I dig it.
How you liking it?
So I don't understand why they picked who they picked. Because so I know they have the 2 old school players. We got that. I'm cool with that. I don't love that it's part of Team of the Week, but I get that. But then they come out, and I thought that the players getting these cards were from this last week. Why did Mark Andrews get a card? He had like 2 catches for, I think, 19 yards. Why did Khalil Mack get a card? Like, I don't get that. I think that, of course, as a Pats fan, I would have loved to see Julian Edelman, 179 receiving yards. They give him nothing. You look at Russell Wilson. I know he just got an upgrade, but he had a good day. Cam had a good day. You look at a lot of guys who had really good days, like Gesicki, no upgrade there.
Terry McLaurin doesn't even have a card.
Terry, no look for Terry. I don't know. I'm frustrated as a guy who really likes to add pieces to the team. I'm someone who cycles guys in a lot. I like to add new cards whenever I can. And to see them kind of, I don't want to say blow this program, but more or less, man, especially from a theme team standpoint, I think that +1 speed, +2 speed for having the Pats, Washington football team players, all those guys, I think that's really important. And when they're pretty much saying we're not going to put out these guys to give you depth, I don't like that. Because I mean, I can think of team of the week cards from last year that really helped my team that played most of the time. I mean, the Jamie Collins had an LTD; he was phenomenal on my team most of the year. And then not having these kind of weekly player upgrades, I don't like. Now I get the argument. Well, they weren't planning on a football season. Well, guess what? You've known for about a month or two that there's a football season. So
Like I don't think they plan.
Yeah,
I mean, I really, honestly, did we really doubt that there was going to be a football season? I didn't.
it's true.
I mean, I
That's all.
really didn't. I mean, there's so much money
Yeah,
involved in it, and we know how the
too
world
much,
runs.
too much money,
Yeah,
quite frankly.
I mean,
Which is
like,
also good though that we've gone 2 weeks, and as long as the reporting's correct, no one has tested positive. That's baffling, by the way, but impressive. So glad to hear that. But yeah, it's tough right now. I think that the content has slowed down to a point where there's not much to do. I think
yeah,
they
it's
got rid of a lot of the positives. Like they took Coach Madden; he's barely usable now. You can spend 600 trophies to get +2 West Coast to your offense. That's a waste of my time, quite frankly. I already have 50 of them. Like, what are we doing? What are we doing out
yeah,
here?
man. I think it's kind of tough right now. Honestly, as us guys being content creators and everything like that for the
Yeah,
game, it's rough, man. I mean, I'm looking at this stuff, and I'm a little lost of what's going on, and I feel like they're reaching for things right now, man. Like
yeah,
I think they're just out here reaching for whatever they can reach for,
yeah. Like, oh,
and
well, we'll do this, we'll do that. Well,
and then they dropped the patch today that
that patch.
pretty much
Ugh.
broke the game, and the game wasn't broken.
I saw
It
guys.
just needed tweaked.
I saw guys doing. I think it was Jeezy was doing practice mode, throwing a streak, and Mike Evans dropped the ball. He did it multiple times on rack catches, run after catches. He was dropping the ball, and if that's what the state of the game is right now,
Right.
first of all, you're making it more run heavy, which I don't agree with. I think this has got to be a game that's balanced.
I would
And
love it to be
two,
balanced. Like I'm a runner, but I still want balance.
yeah, like you're patching stuff that doesn't have to be changed. Come in and fix the 2 clock, fix the kick meter, fix squads. That's all we want. We didn't ask for you to fix catching, to fix tackling.
I was content with catching.
Everything looked fantastic to me. I mean, quite frankly, outside of 2 clock, I was loving it. I was loving it.
Yeah, man.
And
It
then
was
they
one of
put out
those
a
games.
patch that made it worse.
It's just one of those games where we know, like, okay, so we got what we wanted last year. We wanted the game to be a little bit more tougher on defense. We had to adjust and everything.
Yeah.
And people bitched about it, but it was one of those things that you have to adapt. It's a new game. You asked for it, you got it,
Yeah.
and you have to adapt to it. And now they're just. I mean, I've watched guys today that are typically Madden guys just shut their like go and switch to a different game. Like
Yeah.
even W, big top guy in the community. W went and downloaded 2K.
Wow. That's a shocker, man. I mean, especially because the things that they're doing just doesn't make sense. Like I said, they're adding new abilities. Like they're gonna make pass and run commit more effective, but it's an ability. Why do we have to put an ability on a guy for them to know a run's coming? Like when you come out in I form with all tight ends, I know you're running the ball to the right, but my run commit doesn't work, and I have to get an ability to make it work. Like, man, what are we doing? What are we doing?
Play to win, bud. Pay to win.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, even now, then though, you can only have 10 ability points right now.
Yeah,
So like, you can add some of these things, but you can't add it all. You cannot add it all right now.
but yeah, guys. I think that's gonna do it for tonight. We'll be back Sunday night to break down some more fantasy. Give you guys your lineups. Give you guys some maybe noticeable waiver guys that we've seen throughout the week.
Yep.
Check up on
see you
injuries
guys
again.
Bright and early, same time, same place. 10, maybe a smidgen after, like 5 tops. But
Yeah.
we'll see you guys then. We'll have some more goodies to break down. If you guys have any questions throughout the week, don't hesitate to reach out to me or Smee. We can give you help on that. And again, plug in the site, got no affiliation, but Fantasy Pros, fantastic site. You can compare 2 players. They'll break down hundreds of experts' rankings on them within seconds. Fantastic tool.
You can tweet JG at JG_603. You can tweet me at Smee45_45. So it's Smee_45 on Twitter. You could also find us in Discord. We're both around most of the time. I'm on every social media platform there is. So like you can find me on TikTok. Like I'm on TikTok too now.
Fine,
So
fine. I'll be around.
just if you guys got questions or there's something that you guys would like to see on the show or you want us to cover, please don't hesitate to DM, get us that stuff, and we will work these things into our show.
Fluid early stages here.
Yep. So guys, we will see you guys again Sunday at 10 a.m. Eastern time, and we will get you your startums, your situms, all that good stuff broken down, and get you your lineups, your daily lineups from JG himself. He's a big daily guy, so he has that information. We'll see you guys
Yes,
then.
sir.
Peace.
Peace.